So here in this video, I'll be going over some basic conditional statements, a for loop, and we'll talk a little bit more about iterator position in data members. So just to kind of start off, conditional statements and for loops are the building blocks of algorithms. It's kind of just some of the very basic things you'll be using to see if, for example, data frames meet certain criteria, if certain members of your data frames, your data members, meet certain criteria. We can separate them out, we can parse out data frames, we can do all sorts of things. It's just the basic building blocks of an algorithm. So let's go ahead and start off with if and if-else statements. Let's go ahead and create a variable. In this case, we'll call it alpha. And an if statement, so we will say if alpha equals 1, then we'll do something. In this case, let's go ahead and just print out alpha. So just in this cell, let's go over everything that's happening. On this first line here, we're defining the data member alpha, setting it equal to 1. Here we say if alpha. Now we have two equal signs here because that is a different operator than the single equal sign here. The single equal sign will take a variable and set it equal to whatever is right of the variable. A double equal sign will check to see if that variable equals something. So if we were to use a single equal sign here, we would get an error, invalid syntax. So we have the double, and we're just checking to make sure it equals 1. So that's a very common error that you'll find in your algorithms using a single instead of a double, so be aware of that. So we kind of see that we're printing out alpha. We can go ahead and change, and if we change it to 2, we no longer print out alpha, or 3, or we can even change its type, anything of this sort. So let's take that and put it back to 1. And then we'll go ahead and add an else statement. So the else basically says we're taking the if, and if the if statement isn't true, so if alpha does not equal 1, then we will instead, let's say in this case, print fail. So we still print out 1, but let's change it to 2, and we print fail. You kind of see how that works there. So really quick, before we talk a little bit more about what is called a for loop, let's talk about what is called an iterator position. So let's make the list alpha with these members. And the way that the computer stores each one of these numbers is each one is assigned a position. So here the 0 is at position 0, the 1 would be at position 1, the 3 at position 2, the 6 at position 4 or 3, the 1 at position 4. So we start at 0 and then go to the end. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now we're going to go ahead and change this into an array using the NumPy library. So we'll go ahead and create a new variable beta equals np.array with alpha as our parameter. And then we're going to do what is called a for in loop. So we'll say for b in beta print b. So as you can see, what this does is we create a variable b. B then iterates through beta, which is this array containing the members 0, 1, 3, 6, and 1, and then we just print out. So if, for example, you had a data series or an array or something of the sort, and you just wanted to see all of the members printed out, this would be the way that you would go about it. You would do a for loop, creating a variable, iterating through the array, and printing it out. So let's say, for example, I only wanted to print out my variables here in the array when that variable equals 1. So we would say if b equals 1, then print b. And we just have our two 1s here. And all of the other variables are excluded. Or we could say if b is greater than 1, print b, and it kind of parses things out. So this is a good example of if we had a large data frame or an array and we kind of wanted to split things out, or we only wanted certain members of that to be printed out, we wanted to exclude all others, then we would add this conditional statement, iterating through in a for in loop. So let's say we wanted to add an extra conditional statement or an else statement like we talked about before, and we will also print out b, and then the rest print out. We could have this be anything. And then we see that for the 3 and the 6, because they are greater than 1, they are printed out, otherwise printed not. So that's kind of a basic overview of if else statements, lists, and the iterator position, just so that we understand. Just a quick review. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the iterator position. Here we iterate through a for loop with if and an else statement.